Curvy black woman accidentally walked in on Ruthless Korean Mafia showering. Now he can't let her go. The night Amina Johnson's life fractured, it smelled like bleach and jasmine. The hotel in Busan was too clean, too quiet. One of those places where footsteps felt like crimes and every hallway whispered secrets you were never meant to hear. Amina moved carefully, pushing her cleaning cart over plush carpet that probably cost more than her rent back home. Her uniform clung uncomfortably to her curves, the stiff fabric never quite forgiving her body for existing. She was already late. Her supervisor's voice echoed in her head. Staff corridor. End of the West Wing. Linen closet. Don't wander. Amina had repeated those directions to herself at least 5 times. But the West Wing branched like a maze, and the signs switched from Korean to nothing at all. The air changed here, heavier, perfumed, expensive. She stopped in front of a door marked only by a small silver plaque. No room number. Just a discreet symbol she didn't recognize. This has to be it, she told herself. She adjusted her grip on the cart, smoothed her uniform over her hips, and reached for the handle. The door opened easily. Too easily. Steam poured out like breath from a living thing, thick, warm, blinding. The sharp scent of soap hit her first, followed by the unmistakable sound of water striking tile. Not a trickle. Not a drip. A powerful, unrelenting downpour. Her stomach dropped. Oh! It was all she managed before the door swung shut behind her with a soft, traitorous click. For half a second, Amina couldn't see anything. The room was enormous, carved from stone and shadow. Marble floors gleamed wetly beneath the haze. The ceiling lights were dim, diffused through steam that clung to her skin instantly, dampening her curls, fogging her lashes. Then she saw him. He stood beneath the showerhead like he belonged there, as if the room had been designed around him. Tall, broad, motionless. Water streamed down hard muscle and inked skin, tracing dark lines that curved and coiled across his chest, his shoulders, disappearing beneath the mist. Tattoos. Not decorative. They looked like warnings. He lifted his head slowly. Their eyes met. Everything inside Amina went still. His gaze was sharp, black, and frighteningly calm. No shock. No scramble for cover. Just cold awareness, as if he had known somehow that one day someone would make this mistake. Her heart slammed so violently she thought it might give her away. I'm so sorry, she stammered, hands flying up instinctively. I didn't know. The man turned off the water. The sudden silence was worse. Droplets slid down his skin, hitting the floor with soft, deliberate taps. He stepped forward once, then stopped, steam curling around him like smoke around fire. Don't move, he said. His voice was low, even accented just enough to remind her she was far from home. Not angry. Not raised. Controlled. Amina's legs locked instantly. Every survival instinct screamed at her to run, but her body refused to obey. The air felt too thick to push through. Her lungs forgot how to work properly. I didn't mean to. Her voice shook despite her effort to steady it. I'll leave. I swear. He studied her like a problem. Not her face first, but her posture, the way she held herself, the way fear and defiance tangled in her spine. His eyes dipped briefly, taking in the fullness of her figure, the curves her uniform failed to hide. Something unreadable flickered in his expression. Turn around, he said. Her throat tightened. What? Slowly. Her hands trembled as she obeyed, heat crawling up her neck. She felt exposed in a way that had nothing to do with nakedness. She stared at the marble wall ahead of her, heart pounding so loudly she was sure he could hear it. Footsteps sounded behind her. Bare. Unhurried. Each step was deliberate, measured, as if he wanted her to feel the distance closing between them. When he stopped, she could sense him there, towering behind her, radiating warmth and danger. You work here, he said. It wasn't a question. Yes. You're new. Yes. Silence stretched. She waited for yelling. For threats. For security to be called. Instead, he leaned closer. Just enough that his presence pressed against her awareness. Just enough that she caught the scent of soap and something darker beneath it. You came through the wrong door, he said quietly. I know. I'm sorry. I swear I won't tell anyone. I didn't see anything. I did, but... She winced. I didn't mean. Stop talking. She did. Her breath came shallow, chest rising and falling too fast. She hated that her body reacted to his nearness, hated the traitorous warmth pooling low in her stomach alongside fear. He stepped back. Relief almost buckled her knees. Leave, he said. The word hit her like a pardon. She turned too fast, nearly colliding with him. Up close, he was even more intimidating. Water still clinging to him, eyes sharp, expression unreadable. She lowered her gaze instantly. "Thank you," she whispered. She fled. The hallway swallowed her whole, the door closing behind her with a soft click that sounded final. She didn't stop moving until she reached the service elevator, chest heaving, hands shaking so badly she dropped her keys twice. Inside the metal box, her reflection stared back at her. Eyes wide, cheeks flushed, curls damp with steam that didn't belong to her. What just happened? She didn't know his name. She didn't know who he was. But somewhere, deep in her bones, Amina knew one thing with chilling certainty. Men like that didn't let accidents go. Amina didn't sleep that night. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw steam curling through dim light. Heard water hitting marble. Felt the weight of a gaze that hadn't needed words to make her feel exposed. By morning, she convinced herself she had imagined the intensity of it. That he had been just a man. Angry, embarrassed, dangerous perhaps, but human. She was wrong. The summons came just after noon. Her supervisor approached her with a tight smile that didn't reach her eyes. "You are requested upstairs," she said in careful English. "Penthouse level." Amina's stomach dropped. I didn't do anything wrong," she said quickly. The woman avoided her gaze. "I am not here to discuss reasons. Only instructions. Penthouse." The word alone carried weight. Guests who stayed up there didn't follow hotel rules. The hotel followed theirs. Amina rode the private elevator alone. No buttons, just a keycard swipe and a smooth ascent that made her ears pop. The walls were mirrored, forcing her to face her own reflection the entire way up. She looked small. The doors opened soundlessly. The penthouse hallway felt nothing like the rest of the hotel. No floral scent. No soft music. Just cool air, dark wood, and the unsettling quiet of a place where no one entered unless invited. A man in a black suit waited near the door. He didn't smile. He didn't speak. He simply nodded and opened it. The suite was vast, floor-to-ceiling windows revealing Busan's skyline like a crown of lights. The furniture was minimalist, elegant, and intimidatingly expensive. Everything was black, gray, or gold. And there, standing near the window, hands clasped behind his back, was the man from the shower. Fully dressed now. That somehow made him more dangerous. His suit was black silk, cut perfectly to his frame. Gloves covered his hands. His hair was still damp, combed back neatly, revealing sharp cheekbones and a jaw that looked like it had never known softness. He turned slowly. "Amina Johnson," he said. Her name sounded different in his mouth. Heavier. Claimed. "Yes," she answered, barely above a whisper. "Close the door." She hesitated only a second before obeying. The sound echoed too loudly. Silence followed. He walked toward her, not rushed, not slow. Every step felt intentional, like he was counting the distance between them. "You were in my bathroom last night," he said calmly. "I'm sorry," she said immediately. "I swear, I didn't tell anyone. I didn't even know who you were." A faint smile touched his lips. "That," he said, "is fortunate for you." Her pulse thudded in her ears. He circled her once, not touching. Just observing. She could feel his attention like pressure against her skin. "You work hard," he continued. "You don't complain. You keep your head down." She stiffened. "You had me followed?" "Observed," he corrected. "There's a difference." Her fingers curled into fists. Fear and anger sparked together. "Why am I here?" He stopped in front of her, close enough that she had to tilt her head to meet his gaze. "Because you saw me," he said simply. "And I do not exist to people who are not meant to." She swallowed. "I didn't understand what I was seeing." "You understood enough." His eyes dropped to her lips. Just for a second. Then he stepped back. "You are afraid," he said. "Yes." A pause. But not enough. Her breath caught. He turned away, pouring himself a drink. The clink of ice sounded loud in the quiet room. "You could have screamed," he went on. "You could have run. You could have sold what you saw for more money than you'll earn here in 10 years. She shook her head. "I'm not like that." "I know," he said softly. "That's why you're still here." The words chilled her. He finally faced her again. "You will continue your job. You will not be questioned. Your schedule will change. Certain areas will be off limits to you." "And if I refuse?" she asked, surprising herself. Something dark flickered across his face. Interest, perhaps. "Then you leave Korea," he said. "Immediately. With nothing." She stared at him. "That's not a choice." "No," he agreed. It's not. He stepped closer again, close enough that she could smell his cologne. Clean, expensive, faintly dangerous. But understand this, he continued. I am not punishing you. I am protecting you. From what? She whispered. His gaze hardened. From people who would not be as patient as I am. Her heart raced. Who are you? She asked. For the first time, his expression shifted. Something like amusement, edged with warning. My name, he said, is Kong Jae-min. The name landed like a blade. She had heard it before. In whispers. In warnings exchanged among staff who pretended not to know why certain guests were untouchable. Mafia. Not rumor. Not myth. Reality. I didn't know, she breathed. I know, he repeated. He gestured toward the door. You may go. Just like that. No threats. No violence. No raised voice. As she reached for the handle, his voice stopped her. Amina. She turned. If you ever feel unsafe, he said quietly, you come to me. Not the police. Not your friends. Her chest tightened. Why? His eyes held hers, unblinking. Because, he said, now that I've seen you, I won't allow anyone else to. She left on shaking legs. Back in the elevator, her reflection stared at her again. But this time, she looked different. Marked. Chosen. She should have been relieved. Instead, a terrifying realization crept into her bones. Kong Jae-min hadn't silenced her. He had noticed her. And men like him didn't notice things they intended to forget. After the penthouse, nothing felt accidental anymore. Amina noticed it first in the small things. Doors opened faster when she approached. Her name appeared neatly printed on updated schedules she hadn't requested. Security guards who had never spared her a glance now nodded when she passed, their eyes sharp, measuring. Watching. She told herself it was coincidence. It wasn't. Every morning, a black sedan waited at the employee entrance. The driver never spoke, only opened the door and gestured. The first time, Amina refused, insisting she could take the bus. Her supervisor pulled her aside, face pale. Please, she whispered. Don't cause trouble. So Amina got in. The car smelled like leather and restraint. Tinted windows sealed her off from the city, turning Busan into a blur of neon and rain. She felt ridiculous being escorted like this, absurd, even, until she realized something chilling. The route never changed. Not once. Whoever planned it knew exactly where she lived. At night, she dreamed of steam and silence. Of eyes in the dark. Of water stopping abruptly. And always him. Kong Jae-min never appeared openly. Not at first. He didn't summon her again. Didn't call. Didn't send messages. That was worse. Instead, she felt him everywhere. Amina caught glimpses of him in reflections. Polished surfaces, dark windows, the shine of elevator doors. She would turn quickly, heart racing, only to find empty space. But she knew better. He was near. One evening, she was restocking a private lounge when she felt it, the unmistakable pressure of being watched. Her shoulders tensed instinctively. Her hands slowed. She didn't turn. You're doing that wrong. His voice came from behind her. She jumped, a gasp tearing from her throat, glass clinking sharply as she steadied the tray. He stood in the doorway, dressed in charcoal gray this time, coat draped casually over one arm. He looked composed, unhurried, as if appearing behind her unannounced was the most natural thing in the world. You scared me, she said, anger flaring hot and fast. Yes, he replied calmly. I know. She turned to face him fully, pulse hammering. You can't just do that. He studied her, eyes dark. I can. Silence stretched. She hated that he was right. You shouldn't be here, she added weakly. This is my floor, he said. You are the one who doesn't belong. The words stung more than she expected. He stepped closer, gaze drifting over her face. Not hungry, not overtly sexual, but focused. Intent. You're tired, he observed. I work double shifts. Not anymore. Her brows furrowed. I didn't ask if you asked. There it was again. That calm, absolute certainty. The way he bent the world without raising his voice. She swallowed. Why are you doing this? He paused. For a split second, just a fracture, something passed over his expression. Conflict. Hesitation. Then it was gone. Because you're careless, he said instead. And careless people don't last long around men like me. Her laugh came out sharp, defensive. You mean you? Yes, he said simply. Me. He moved closer, close enough that she could feel the warmth of his body, the subtle pull of gravity that seemed to bend everything toward him. You don't watch your surroundings, he continued quietly. You don't notice exits. You trust too easily. His gaze dropped briefly, to her throat, her collarbone, then returned to her eyes. And you pretend you're not aware of how people look at you. Heat rushed to her face. That's not my problem. No, he agreed. It's mine. The words landed heavy. She took a step back, heart pounding. You said you were protecting me. This doesn't feel like protection. His jaw tightened. It is, he said. You just don't understand from what yet. That night, the dreams changed. She dreamed of standing in a room full of shadows, hands reaching for her from every direction. Just as they touched her skin, a gunshot rang out. Silence. Then his voice close to her ear. Mine. She woke up breathless, sheets twisted around her legs, body buzzing with a confusing mix of fear and something dangerously close to want. The next day, she tried to avoid him. It didn't work. He found her in the service hallway, in the staff cafeteria, once even outside the employee restroom. Never alone long enough to cross a line, never public enough to feel safe. Always watching, always aware. One afternoon, she finally snapped. Why are you doing this to me? She demanded, backing him into a quiet corner near the elevators. If you want me gone, just say it. If you want to scare me, congratulations, you have. Something dark sparked in his eyes. I don't scare you, he said softly. She shook her head. You do. No, he corrected. You're afraid of what happens when you stop being afraid. Her breath hitched. He leaned in, not touching, not quite, but close enough that his presence wrapped around her. You feel it, he murmured. The pull, the curiosity, the way your body betrays your logic. Her heart pounded painfully. You don't know anything about me. I know, he said, that when I step closer, you don't run. She hated that he was right. His hand lifted slowly, deliberately, stopping inches from her arm. He waited, testing, giving her the chance to pull away. She didn't. His fingers brushed her skin, light, brief, electric. The contact detonated something inside both of them. He inhaled sharply, like the sensation surprised even him. His hand fell away instantly, jaw clenched as if restraining something violent. That, he said, voice rougher than before, cannot happen again. She stared at him, pulse racing. Why? Because, he replied, eyes dark, I do not lose control. He turned and walked away without another word. Amina stood there shaking. That was the moment she understood the truth. Not the rumors, not the whispers, not the reputation. The danger wasn't that Kang Jae-min wanted her. The danger was that he didn't. And whatever was growing between them was something he was fighting just as hard as she was. The first thing Amina noticed was the silence. Not the peaceful kind. Not the quiet of rest. This was the kind of silence that pressed against her ears until her thoughts grew too loud. The kind that made her hyper-aware of every breath she took, every step she made. The apartment was beautiful. That was the cruelest part. Floor-to-ceiling windows stretched across one entire wall, revealing the city far below. Busan glowing like a constellation she was no longer part of. The furniture was elegant, neutral, carefully chosen. Soft lighting. Clean lines. Nothing personal. Nothing warm. Nothing hers. She stood just inside the door, purse clutched to her chest, heart racing as the lock clicked behind her. Locked. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just enough. This is temporary, Kang Jae-min said from behind her. She turned slowly. He hadn't followed her inside right away. He never rushed. He leaned casually against the doorframe now, suit immaculate, expression unreadable. Two men stood in the hallway behind him, silent, watchful, faceless. Temporary for what? She asked. Until things settle. Her jaw tightened. You moved me without asking. I informed you, he corrected. You told me to pack, she shot back. You didn't explain. His eyes flicked briefly to the guards, then back to her. They don't need to hear this. The door closed. They were alone. Amina felt it then, the shift. The way the air changed when witnesses disappeared. Her skin prickled. You're scared, he said. She laughed sharply. You think? I don't do this lightly. That's supposed to make me feel better? No, he replied. It's supposed to make you understand. She set her purse down with more force than necessary. You said you were protecting me. This feels like a prison. He crossed the room slowly, stopping several feet away. He never crowded her. Never touched her unless she let him. That restraint was deliberate and unsettling. This, he said evenly, is a shield. A shield with locked doors? A shield with rules. Her chest rose and fell rapidly. You don't get to decide my life. He tilted his head slightly, studying her like she'd said something fascinating. You walked into my world, he said. That choice was already made. That was an accident. So was being born where you were, he replied calmly. Accidents shape us more than intentions. Anger flared hot and fast. You're controlling everything. My schedule. My movements. Who I talk to. Yes. The single word hit harder than denial ever could. You don't even deny it, she whispered. No, he said. Because lying insults your intelligence. She took a step toward him. You don't own me. Something dark flickered behind his eyes. Not rage, not desire, but something closer to strain. I know, he said quietly. That's the problem. The words unsettled her more than a threat would have. She turned away, pacing the apartment. What happens if I leave? He didn't answer immediately. When he did, his voice was lower. Then I won't be able to protect you. From what? She demanded, spinning back to face him. You keep saying that like it explains everything. He held her gaze steadily. From men who now know your face. Her stomach dropped. What do you mean, no? You were seen with me, he said. Enough to raise questions. Her pulse spiked. You said no one noticed. I said no one acted, he corrected. There's a difference. Fear curled cold in her gut. So this is because of you. Yes. And I'm paying the price. He stepped closer, just one step. You're alive because of me. Her voice cracked. That doesn't feel like safety. His jaw tightened. Safety is an illusion people like you are allowed to believe in. She stared at him, searching his face. And people like you? We know better. Silence stretched between them. Then softly, you don't belong here, she said. No, he agreed. But now you do. The days that followed blurred together. Amina was given everything. New clothes in her size, food prepared exactly how she liked it, books in English she hadn't requested but somehow needed. Her job was paused. Her phone worked, but certain numbers never connected. Social media lagged strangely, as if someone else decided when the world could reach her. She noticed the cameras by the third day. Discreet. Hidden. But there. You're watching me, she accused him that night. Yes. You don't even pretend anymore. No, he said calmly. You stopped pretending first. She tried to hate him. But hate required distance, and he was everywhere. He visited in the evenings, never staying long. Never staying overnight. He sat across from her like a king tolerating conversation, eyes always on her face, never her body, and somehow that felt more intimate. You could leave, he told her once, pouring tea. I won't stop you. She stared at the door. It was unlocked. Her heart pounded. And if I do? His gaze softened just a fraction. Then I lose control. The honesty chilled her. You're dangerous, she said. Yes, he replied. But not to you. That's what scares me. That night, she dreamed of gold bars stacking higher and higher around her, shining so brightly they blinded her. She screamed, but the walls only grew thicker. In the morning, she stood at the door, hand on the handle, breathing hard. She imagined the street below. Freedom. Chaos. Normal fear instead of this suffocating quiet. Behind her, Kong Jaemin spoke. If you walk out, he said softly, I will have to choose between the world and you. She turned slowly. And if I stay? His eyes held hers, dark and honest. Then I will burn the world to keep it from touching you. Her hand dropped from the handle. Not because she was weak, but because she finally understood. This wasn't captivity. It was devotion twisted into possession. And the most terrifying truth of all? Part of her wanted to stay. The problem wasn't the apartment anymore. It was him. Amina could handle silence. She could handle locked doors, guarded hallways, even the constant sense of being observed. What she couldn't handle was the way Kong Jaemin looked at her now, as if distance itself were a discipline he was forcing on his body. He had changed. She noticed it in the way his visits shortened, his posture tightened. In the way he kept his hands clasped behind his back when he spoke to her, as though afraid of what they might do if left free. You're avoiding me, she said one evening. He was standing near the window, city lights reflected in the glass like fractured stars. He didn't turn around. No, he replied. I'm correcting myself. She crossed her arms. From what? He exhaled slowly. From making mistakes. Something about the way he said it, controlled, deliberate, made her chest ache. You act like I'm a temptation, she said quietly. He turned then. The look in his eyes was darker than she'd ever seen it. You are. The word landed between them, heavy and undeniable. Amina's pulse spiked. I didn't ask for that. No, he agreed. Which makes it worse. He stepped closer, stopping at a careful distance. You don't understand what restraint costs men like me. Her voice was barely a whisper. Then explain it. His jaw flexed. For a moment, she thought he wouldn't. That he would retreat again behind rules and distance and locked doors. Instead, he spoke. I am trained to take what I want, he said calmly. To remove obstacles. To silence threats. To act. Her breath caught. You, he continued, eyes fixed on hers, are the first thing I've wanted that I cannot take. The air thickened. Amina felt it then. How close they were to something irreversible. Why not? She asked softly. His gaze dropped to her mouth. Just once. Because, he said, voice rougher now, I would not survive what it would turn me into. Silence swallowed the room. She didn't know what possessed her, maybe anger, maybe loneliness, maybe the slow erosion of fear. But she stepped forward. Just one step. His body reacted instantly. Not forward. Back. A sharp inhale. A muscle twitching along his jaw. Don't, he warned. Her heart hammered painfully. Don't what? Test me. She swallowed hard. You brought me here. You watch me. You decide when I eat, when I sleep, when I see the world. And yet you're afraid to touch me. His eyes snapped to hers. Afraid, he repeated quietly. He closed the distance in 2 long strides. Amina's back hit the kitchen counter. Not hard. Controlled. Deliberate. He stopped inches away. You think this is fear, he murmured. Her breath stuttered. Then what is it? His hand lifted slowly, stopping just beside her shoulder, not touching. Never touching unless she allowed it. This, he said, is discipline. Her skin burned where he wasn't. She could feel the heat of him, the tension vibrating beneath his calm exterior. It was intoxicating and terrifying. Tell me to stop, he said quietly. Her mouth opened. No sound came out. His fingers brushed her wrist. The contact was accidental. Or maybe it wasn't. Electricity shot through her arm, straight to her chest. She gasped softly, eyes widening. His reaction was immediate. His fingers tightened for half a second before he released her as if burned. He stepped back sharply, breath uneven. That, he said, voice low and dangerous, cannot happen again. Her pulse raced. You touched me. Yes, he said. And I shouldn't have. You act like I'm poison. He looked at her then, not as a boss, not as a protector, but as a man standing at the edge of himself. You are not poison, he said. You are hunger. The word sent a shiver through her. She pushed away from the counter, needing space. Then why keep me here? His voice softened. Because letting you go would hurt more. The admission cracked something open. Amina turned away, blinking back emotion she hadn't meant to show. This isn't fair. No, he agreed. It isn't. That night, she couldn't sleep. She lay awake listening to the city far below, body buzzing with unspent tension. Every brush of fabric against her skin felt too loud, too sharp. She hated that she wanted him, not just his attention, but his touch. She hated that she wondered what it would feel like if he ever stopped holding back. Across the city, Kong Jaemin stood alone in his penthouse, hands braced against marble, jaw clenched as if holding himself together by force alone. He replayed the moment her skin met his. The heat. The shock. The way his control had nearly shattered. He had faced gunfire with steadier hands. She will ruin you, a voice warned. He welcomed the thought. The next morning, Amina found a note on the counter. I will be gone for several days. Do not leave the apartment. Do not invite anyone inside. No signature. She folded the paper slowly, chest tight. Part of her felt relieved. Another part felt abandoned. When he returned 3 days later, there was blood on his cuff. Not much. Enough. She saw it immediately. What happened? She asked. He followed her gaze, then covered the stain with his jacket. Nothing you need to worry about. Her voice shook. You hurt someone. Yes. For me. He didn't answer. That was answer enough. She stepped closer, heart pounding. This is going too far. He met her gaze steadily. It already has. She lifted her hand, hesitant, unsure, and rested it against his chest. He froze. The world seemed to stop breathing. Don't pull away, she whispered. His hand came up slowly, hovering near her waist, but still not touching. You're asking for something I can't give safely, he said. Maybe I don't need safe, she replied. His breath shuddered. For one unbearable moment, she thought he might kiss her. Instead, he stepped back, hard. This, he said tightly, ends tonight. Her heart dropped. What do you mean? I will arrange your departure, he said. You will leave Busan. Pain flared sharp and unexpected. You don't get to decide that. I do, he said. Because if you stay, I will cross a line I cannot uncross. She stared at him, tears burning. And if I leave? His voice broke, just barely. Then I will finally breathe again. She knew then that whatever this was, whatever they had built in silence and restraint, it was already too late. Because neither of them wanted the world where the other was gone. The night everything shattered began quietly. Too quietly. Amina sensed it before she understood it. The way the air in the apartment felt heavier, charged. The guards outside the door stood straighter than usual. Their murmurs were clipped, urgent. No one made eye contact with her. Kang Jae-min hadn't returned. Not after promising her departure. Not after leaving her with words that felt like abandonment dressed as mercy. She stood at the window, arms wrapped around herself, watching headlights thread through the city like veins of light. Her suitcase sat half-packed by the door, accusing her with its open mouth. You will leave Busan. The words replayed endlessly. She hated him for saying them. Hated herself for wishing he wouldn't. The knock came at midnight. 3 sharp taps. Not polite. Not optional. Her heart slammed against her ribs as she approached the door. Who is it? Silence. Then, stay inside. His voice. Low. Commanding. Strained. Relief and fear collided violently inside her. She unlocked the door just as it burst open. Kang Jae-min stumbled inside. Blood streaked his knuckles. His sleeve was torn. A dark stain spread across the shoulder of his jacket. Too deep, too red to ignore. His breathing was controlled, but only just. Like a predator holding itself together by force alone. She froze. What? Her voice failed her. What happened? He slammed the door shut and turned the lock. Once. Twice. You should not have opened the door, he said sharply. You were hurt, she snapped back, fear breaking through. What did you expect me to do? His eyes flicked to her face, then away. Stay untouched by this. Too late. She stepped closer, gaze locked on the blood. Someone attacked you. Yes. Because of me? His jaw tightened. That was answer enough. Her chest constricted painfully. You said you'd send me away. I tried. Then why are you here? He finally looked at her. And for the first time since she'd met him, Kang Jae-min looked human. Not weak, but fractured. Because they followed you, he said quietly. The room tilted. They what? You were seen, he continued. Leaving with my men. Patterns were noticed. Questions were asked. Her knees nearly buckled. I didn't tell anyone anything. I know. Then why? Because in my world, he said, voice hardening, curiosity is enough to get you killed. She stared at him, terror blooming cold and sharp. So what happened? He removed his jacket slowly, deliberately, dropping it to the floor. Blood soaked through the fabric beneath. There was a meeting, he said. It turned hostile. Her stomach churned. Hostile how? He met her gaze. They wanted leverage. Realization hit like a punch. Me? Yes. Her breath came shallow. So you what? You negotiated. Something dark flickered behind his eyes. No. He turned away, rolling up his sleeves. More blood. Not all of it his. I ended it. The weight of his words settled heavily over the room. You killed them, she whispered. Yes. The honesty stunned her. She backed away a step, heart racing. How many? Enough. Her hands shook. I don't know who you are. He turned back to her sharply. I told you who I was. She swallowed hard. I didn't want to believe it. Silence fell thick and suffocating. Then sirens. Distant. But approaching. Kang Jae-min's posture shifted instantly. Controlled. Alert. Dangerous again. They're coming, Amina said. Not for me, he replied. He moved fast then, checking exits, windows, his phone already in hand. Orders barked quietly in Korean. Within minutes, men filled the hallway outside like shadows given form. We're leaving, he said. Her heart raced. Leaving where? Somewhere safe. You said nowhere was safe with you. He looked at her, really looked at her. And yet, he said, here you are. Still standing. She didn't have time to argue. Gunfire cracked through the night. The sound was deafening. Amina screamed as Kang Jae-min pulled her down behind the couch, his body shielding hers instinctively. Bullets shattered glass. Alarm screamed. Don't move, he ordered, gripping her shoulders firmly. No matter what you hear. Fear paralyzed her. She clutched his shirt, feeling his heart pounding, fast, furious, alive. Men shouted. Shots echoed. Then silence. Heavy. Final. Kang Jae-min rose slowly, gun in hand. Stay, he commanded. She disobeyed. She saw the bodies. Blood streaked across marble. Men she'd never known, never wanted to know, lying still, eyes open, lives ended violently and efficiently. She gagged, tears spilling freely. This is who you are, she sobbed. He turned to her, eyes unreadable. This is what I do to keep what is mine alive. She recoiled. I'm not a thing you own. No, he said. You're the reason I'm bleeding. The words broke something inside her. You can't keep doing this, she cried. You can't keep killing for me. I would kill the world for you, he said quietly. And that is why you must leave. He approached her slowly, carefully, as if she might shatter. This ends tonight, he said. I will put you on a plane before dawn. Tears streamed down her face. And what happens to you? He hesitated. Then, I go back to being what I was. She shook her head. You'll die. Eventually. The calm acceptance terrified her. She stepped forward suddenly, pressing her forehead to his chest, uncaring of the blood. I don't want a world where you disappear. His breath hitched sharply. Amina, he warned. I saw you tonight, she whispered. All of you. And I'm still here. His arms wrapped around her before he could stop himself. The embrace was tight. Desperate. Real. I am not a good man, he murmured against her hair. I know, she replied. But you're my bad choice. He pulled back, eyes blazing with conflict. If you stay, you will be damned with me. She met his gaze steadily. Then stop pretending you're saving me by letting me go. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then Kang Jae-min made a decision. One that would burn everything. Then, he said quietly, there is no turning back. And in the distance, as dawn crept over Busan, the world shifted. Not toward redemption, but toward irreversible devotion. Dawn came without mercy. It spilled over Busan in pale gold, soft and almost gentle, an insult to the blood still drying on marble floors and the decisions already set in motion. From the window, the city looked innocent. Alive. Oblivious. Amina stood barefoot in the apartment, the world humming beneath her skin. She hadn't slept. Neither had he. Kang Jae-min moved like a man already halfway gone. Orders had been given. Phones silenced. Routes changed. The machinery of his empire adjusted around a single, dangerous truth. He had chosen her. And now he was calculating the cost. You will leave this morning, he said finally, his voice steady despite the fracture beneath it. The jet is ready. Amina didn't turn from the window. You're still trying to save me. Yes. She exhaled slowly. You're still lying to yourself. Silence stretched. He hated silence when she used it like this, like a blade pressed gently against his throat. You saw everything, he said. You know what staying means. I know, she replied. It means there's no clean ending. There is no ending at all, he corrected. She turned then, meeting his gaze fully. Good. The word landed like a gunshot. His jaw tightened. You don't understand the permanence of this. I understand it better than you, she said softly. You think letting me go makes you noble. It doesn't. It just makes you alone. His eyes darkened. Alone is survivable. Not for you, she said. You don't fear death. You fear emptiness. That struck deeper than any accusation. He stepped closer. If you stay, there will be no illusion of freedom. No pretending you're untouched by this world. Amina lifted her chin. I stopped pretending the moment you bled for me. The memory flashed between them, her hands pressed to his chest, blood warm beneath her palms, his arms wrapping around her like instinct had finally overpowered discipline. You don't get to decide my fate alone, she continued. You never did. He searched her face for fear. There was none. Only resolve. And something darker, acceptance. You are choosing damnation, he said quietly. She nodded. So are you. The difference is I'm choosing it with you. For a long moment, Kang Jae-min said nothing. Then he did something no one alive had ever seen him do. He knelt. Not dramatically. Not fully. Just enough that his eyes were level with hers, the weight of the gesture undeniable. If you stay, he said, voice low and unwavering, you will never be second to my power. You will never be hidden. You will never be unprotected. Her breath caught. I do not offer love, he continued. I offer loyalty, blood, and truth. I will never be gentle. I will never be clean. Amina reached out, resting her hand against his cheek. He didn't flinch. I don't need clean, she said. I need real. Something in him broke open then, not softly, not beautifully, but violently, like a door torn from its hinges. He stood in one fluid motion and pulled her into him, holding her like the world might try to tear her away at any second. His forehead rested against hers, breath unsteady for the first time. "Then stay," he said. "And understand, there is no leaving after this." "I know." The city below them woke fully, sirens, traffic, life continuing as if nothing had changed. Everything had. Hours later, the penthouse filled with men who bowed lower than they ever had before. Not to him. To her. Amina felt it then, the shift in the room, the recalibration of power. She wasn't a secret. She wasn't leverage. She was declared. A woman approached her quietly, respectful. "Madam," she said, offering a phone. Amina looked to Kong Jae-min. He nodded once. The screen lit up with a single message. "If she lives, you die." Amina handed the phone back calmly. "They won't stop." "No," he agreed. "They won't." She met his gaze, steady. "Then stop trying to outrun it." Understanding passed between them, dark, electric, irrevocable. That night, Kong Jae-min stood before his council with Amina at his side. No shadows. No distance. "This is my choice," he said evenly. "Any hand raised against her is raised against me." A murmur rippled through the room. "And any man who believes love makes me weak," he continued, eyes hard, "will learn how wrong he is." No one challenged him. Because they saw it, the thing that made him more dangerous than ever before. He had something to lose. Later, when the city slept, Amina stood beside him on the balcony. The air was cool, the future uncertain and soaked in risk. "You could still regret this," he said quietly. She smiled faintly. "You could still regret me." He shook his head. "No." He took her hand, not as a claim, not as a threat, but as a vow. "You walked into my life by accident," Kong Jae-min said. "You stayed by choice." Amina squeezed his fingers. "Then don't make me small in your world." His eyes met hers, burning with promise. "I will build the world around you." Below them, Busan glowed, unaware, unchanged. Above them, the future waited, dark, dangerous, and bound by a decision neither of them would ever escape. And for the first time, neither wanted to.